and we are live. So maybe everyone isn't tuned in yet, but I'm not going to wait for everyone to get tuned in because we have so much to cover. I am Kyrie Stevens from Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. I am the Director of Inclusion and Community Initiatives, and I am so excited about tonight's Icy Success because I have some of my friends on here, and I am going to let them introduce themselves. But tonight we are talking about food. We're foodies, talking about how to eat well and eat good during this quarantine. So I am going to just open up the floor and let my illustrious guests introduce themselves. And I'm going to start out with Beth, and we're going to just tell us a little bit about who you are and your background with food.
Yeah, thanks, Kyrie. So excited. So hi, everyone. My name is Beth Machnica. I'm the Healthy Communities Catalyst at BNMC. So I am a registered dietitian by trade, very passionate about food, eating it, and healthy food and sharing it broadly with everyone. So I guess where to start? Shout out to my dad. As a kid, my parents used to catch me hiding behind the furniture eating peanut butter right out of the jar. Not much has changed as an adult. I absolutely love food, cooking it, but mostly eating it. But as a kid, I think, my relationship started just at the dinner table with my family. That was always very important, sitting down for dinner and enjoying a meal. But as I became a teenager, I didn't really eat that healthy. Loved Oreos and frozen burritos and ramen, not really realizing like what I was putting in my body is not the best. So when I got into high school, I took an elective that really taught us, what I was actually doing, and realized that I really needed to make a change. So in 5 years, I ended up going to school for nutrition. Now today I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, but the degree takes 4 years, but I'd say the practice takes about 15. So with anything you learn about food, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Great. So Evetta and then Marla.
Hi, everyone. I'm Evetta Applewhite, owner of Evelina's Kitchen. Most of you may know me from the Oak Room. But I guess my passion for food started when I was younger. Of course, being in the kitchen since I was 14, watching my grandfather cook, my father cook, of course, my mother cook. Evelina's Kitchen just pretty much started with just a pot of oxtails. And for those who asked me who's Evelina, Evelina is my mother, who passed away actually in 2017. So when I was coming up with the name for my business, I didn't want to make it, Evetta's Kitchen, because a part of me wanted to go underneath the radar. So I didn't want it to be known that I was doing this. So I called it Evelina's Kitchen, and that's where we are now. So with Evelina's Kitchen, it consists of a lot of soul food recipes, some Caribbean recipes, but I also offer more of healthier options. So instead of using like the sodium-filled broths and things like that, I use very low sodium broths, and I build up the flavor. So it's very easy to put a lot of salt into your food, but it's very hard to take it out. So I start with the bare minimum, and I just build up the flavor to, my liking, something that's not too salty. It might be spicy, but it's not going to be too salty too, or your blood pressure is going to go through the roof. So, with this process and this journey, I've just been learning different ways to make food taste flavorful. And also keep to the heritage of, Trinidadian cooking and Southern cooking. So that's where I'm at.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Marla Guarino, and I am the Farm to Institution Catalyst over at the BNMC. Food and being around food and having food as my way of making a living has completely changed my life. I come from a family of academics who didn't know how to cook very well at all. And when I ran away after college, not knowing what I wanted to do, I started to go to like resort areas like Vail and Martha's Vineyard, and I started working in restaurants to make some money, and I would make good money. And at first I didn't really know what I was doing. I was sloughing food around. But as I kept going along throughout my 20s, I kept going into better and better restaurants and learning about how amazing, like what people can do with fine ingredients, with not fine ingredients if they're like really talented, fine wines, all of that. So I wound up in Boston and hooked up with a group of chefs and like restaurateurs that were doing farm to table for the first time in like the late 90s. They were connected with people like Alice Waters in California, and she was one of the first people to really like connect farmers with her cuisine, mostly vegetarian cuisine, but over on the East Coast in Boston, there was a lot of seafood, and there was, you know, a nice tradition of like the Eastern cooking. So I fell in love with it. It was a little glamorous. It was also earthy because the farmers, and it felt right. And so I was in that world for a while. Came back home to Buffalo in my early 30s. Call from my grandfather not being well, and so I came here, started selling wine, and then got somebody, and we made a restaurant together. It was Cajun Creole. So that person was my ex, Jim Guarino. He's absolutely wonderful. Shango Bistro, still going strong. So you know, we built that at the beginning of everything, and he is just keeping going. So then I started an appreciation of like Southern Cajun Creole, you know, rich flavor and amazing foods. And my wine knowledge went way, way up. And then I met a kid, and I was like, oh my God, I got to feed this kid. And I also really got into like kind of food chemistry because I'm a bit of a nerd, and went back to school and got a degree in dietetics. And I was like, wait a minute, wow. So now I'm in like the healthy food world, but I'm very balanced between health and like understanding people's like cultures and how much food really like just hits people really hard. You've got to respect that. And then how people fill their lives with romance and glamour and everything for food. So I love what I do, and now I'm working at BNMC trying to get farm fresh produce into the hospitals. So I've got a lot of different things that I've been involved with.
Well, that's great. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned like culture, and like, because food is such a big part of culture and connecting people. And with this quarantine and shelter in place going on, like I know people are kind of like feeling a little isolated because they can't go to their favorite restaurant. They can't even have dinner with some of their friends. So I kind of wanted to ask, how are you guys like not eating the same things? How is it, are you eating the same things over and over? Are you like sick of food? Or is this something that has allowed you to become, to experiment? What are you doing to keep that passion and connection to food, so that it's not like, oh my God, I gotta eat again? Because I know some people are like eating all the time. So how are you guys doing that? I kind of want to ask Ben, how are you doing that? And then we all can kind of jump in.
Oh gosh, well, I don't know if I'm the right person. I can give you two answers. So the first answer is, in general, I'm typically a type A person. Single, I live by myself. So the easiest thing for me, having a busy schedule, being short on time, I usually just cook a big meal on the weekends, and I do eat the same thing every day. Maybe I'm super boring, I don't know. When I go to bed at night, I actually look forward to eating breakfast the next morning, which was the same thing I had that day. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, in times like this where we're not taking as many trips to the grocery store and we're heavily relying on what we have in our pantry, things like potatoes and eggs, I find so helpful to just add nutrition to meals. And you can make them in so many different ways, right? So eggs are super nutritious, they're high in protein. You can scramble them with veggies, you can add cheese, you can hard boil a bunch of them at a time and have them for snacks, add them to salads, add them to whatever. Potatoes, you can make a loaded baked potato, doctor it up, you can make potato pancakes, you can roast them, mash them, make cheesy potatoes. There's so many things you can do. And then vegetables, just cutting vegetables a different way, dicing them, slicing them, julienne style, and then the cooking style that you use, if you stir fry, roast, steam, poach, just all different ways. But
So what's
Yeah,
your
I
favorite
can
right
eat
now?
the
Like,
same
what's
thing
your
every day.
favorite meal right now? What's your favorite meal to have kind of right now?
You know, right now I've been craving comfort food, like grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Come on.
Just simple.
Evetta,
So-
what are you doing right now? Like, are you experimenting? Are you like trying new flavors and doing things like that, chefing it up in the kitchen? What are you doing?
So I am. So a lot of, like, for instance, I want to test out this coconut curry. And I know, some people may be familiar with it and some people might not be familiar with it. But, just adding like coconut milk to curry spices and chickens and things like that. Or even also adding coconut milk when I make my brown down oxtails to give it a more rich and creamier flavor. Because with coconut milk, it does add a bunch. It adds an amazing flavor to your food. And I don't think people understand it. But I haven't really introduced it to the world yet, or my circle of, people who support me, because I'm not sure how they'll take to that. But, I think I'll start it out in like small spurts and then see how that goes and continue on from there. I think I probably go to the grocery store, honestly, like every other day. Like Wegmans, I'm in Wegmans all the time because I'll have a craving for something. And if I don't have the ingredients here at home, I'm like, oh, shoot, well, let me go to the store and get them. Like mentally, I know what I want to eat. And I'll check, cupboards, cabinets, and things like that. Sometimes I'll just look at my fridge and say, okay, I have broccoli, cabbage, salmon. All right, I'll do a stir fry really quick and I'll eat that. Normally at the on Sunday nights, I marinate.
Like, I don't mean to cut you off, but does that like come off the top of the head? You just look at these ingredients and say, "I'm a dish."
She's a chef,
like,
man.
Do you check like recipes or anything like that, or you just got mad skills? Like, help some of us out who don't have the skills to just like. I can see that to put that together. How do you like come up with this?
I'll be honest and tell you too that I do refer to Pinterest a lot. So I'll go to Pinterest and look up different recipes and things like that. But most of the time, like when I'm trying to get rid of stuff, I'll make a whole smorgasbord of whatever and I'll just eat on it. Like for example, on Sunday nights, I'll marinate chicken, right? And I know this one salad, I've eaten it almost every day for the past 2 weeks and it's probably ridiculous and I need to switch it, but it's just so good. But, I marinate chicken. I'll grill the chicken that Monday and I'll cut it up into like little pieces. I also, simmer black beans and corn together. And then I drain out the liquid from the black beans and corn. I set that off to the side, let that cool off. I'll cut up Caesar romaine lettuce and that's my salad. So every day I'll have a salad. And I'll put hummus on top of it or ranch dressing on top of it. And I'll just eat that. And for me, I had to get into a habit of eating salads or eating a little bit more healthier because it's so easy during this quarantine to eat all the wrong things. Because trust me, there was a time that I was, and I tried to put on a pair of jeans and I was like, oh, wow, this is getting a little out of hand. So I had to pull it back.
I think we're all gone like a little.
Yeah. So, now it's like, for me, I look at what I have in my refrigerator, and if there's things that I have in my refrigerator, I can just, put together really quickly. I just do that and go on. So you have to have patience though, and you have to love to cook. So
yeah.
So like I was we kind of chatted about this a little bit in the beginning, and I was gonna tell my story, but I was like maybe I should save it for the beginning. But when I was younger. Again, I told you guys this, that I thought I was going to be a football player, and I stopped growing. So I was like, shoot, that dream's dead. I need to find out something. So, I wanted to, I wanted to be a chef as well. And I started getting and experimenting in the kitchen. And your boy can throw down, ask my wife, ask about me. Your boy got skills, but I didn't take that path. So I really like cooking, but I didn't want to get into like the restaurant management, anything like that. But Marla, you have a lot of like experience on that. Can you talk about like how your restaurant background, how that ties into, like, are you using any of that during this quarantine? And can you talk something like how, from your perspective, how this might be affecting? I know restaurants are really coming up with creative and innovative ways to connect with their customers. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm gonna, I think from my introduction, you guys probably have a sense of the fact that I absolutely adore food, but I've been around a lot of chefs that have cooked for me. So I do go out to eat quite a bit, but I also am a single mom. So I think a lot about nutrition. I have a background in nutrition. I know like what I should be doing. So I always have to be thinking that way. So to answer your question first, Kyrie, I think mixing things up is really good for me if you're extroverted, if you enjoy eating other people's, foods, if, you get sick of your own cooking. If you can do takeout right now, restaurants are offering takeout. So, I'll have takeout Tuesdays or, actually, some of my friends, we get on like calls like this and we'll have brunch together and we'll order a brunch and we'll all sit and eat brunch together. So it's kind of like I'm trying to bring that into my life a little bit, that social aspect, the supporting restaurants. But, like 3/4 of the time I have my daughter with me and I want to make sure that we're able to fit into the clothes, because when you're wearing sweats or yoga pants all the time and you go out and you try to put the other thing on, you're like, wait a minute. So I try to balance out. And one of the things is that I keep things very simple. I try to bring my daughter into cooking with me, but I am not a chef. So we cook together very simply. We'll make breakfast, some of the eggs that you were talking about, hard-boiled eggs, and we make smoothies. She wants to make the smoothies, so I use low-fat Greek yogurt, low-fat milk, and a lot of fruits. So she's getting fruit in there. She's getting some protein. So I honestly eat healthy because I'm always thinking about what my daughter is eating as well. So, I try to throughout those long days where the kids are doing their homework, I try to put here's some cut vegetables. What kind of dipping sauce do you want? Do you want some low-fat ranch or do you want some hummus? Here's some fruit. And so it's just that you're getting that energy filled throughout the day where you're not grabbing chips or grabbing, a lot of the stuff is if you're not keeping things in your home and you're not able to go out a lot, you have a lot more control too. So if my apples are starting to go bad, I'll cut up the apples and make a low sugar apple crisp. And that will be our sweetness. So I'm in between, like I said, kind of the glamour of restaurants and having a bunch of different choices at my hands normally out all the time. And my friends and restaurants that we have here are so talented. Also supporting restaurants. So I want to go out and get their takeout, and being a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling her kid, making sure that we're not getting off base and getting off balance, and we're healthy at the end of this. So that's my story.
You mentioned cooking with your kids, cooking with your daughter, and I have kids. I got Junie, he's three, Navy is 5, and then Zaria is 11. I want to, for those who may be watching, I want to put this in there, and then I'll get back to what I was saying. So those of you who are watching, and I want to challenge you who are on the call as well. I want you to come up with a recipe and drop it in the comments for us to try. I want to try some new things. I want to try some things that I can try with my kids. Some simple, maybe healthy things, and maybe not some so healthy things.
I got one.
I got one too.
I got one.
So,
rainbow wraps. Rainbow wraps for your kids. So this is how the kids can get a rainbow of vegetables. So cut up red peppers, get some greens, get some carrots, slice those up, shredded carrots, for cabbage. You have a rainbow, right? You take a tortilla, you put some low-fat dressing on, whether it's a low-fat ranch or low-fat cream cheese, and you have the kids make the rainbow. You'll roll it all up. Super easy, fun, takes a little while. The kids might eat one of the vegetables they may not have tried before, and it's such a simple thing.
That's great. So I want to know something that if I wanted to say I couldn't cook and I wanted to impress my wife and I wanted to be real good, Evetta, how could I, is there a simple dish that you make that I could use to make myself look really impressive, to show off for the gram. Like I could take a picture of it and it might be like maybe colorful or something and make me look good. So
yeah, so for me, the biggest thing, what would be easier would probably be, you know, you get broccoli together, you can get, you know, onions, red pepper, bell pepper, you know, for your color. And you can saute all of those vegetables in with like, you know, an olive oil or maybe even a coconut oil. And then you can just, you know, pan sear some salmon and serve that. And that's easy. That's like 30, 45 minutes right there. And I believe in, I don't like to be in the kitchen longer than an hour and a half, to be honest with you. The only time I'm in the kitchen for like 4 hours is when I'm doing oxtails. Hence the reason why I don't like doing oxtails sometimes, because I'm in there for 4 hours.
Everybody's always, they love them though.
They love them. They do it. And it's a good thing. But, you know, for something simple, I would saute some vegetables, add some color into it, you know, take a simple meat, saute that, or however you're going to, you know, prepare that, and you're good. 45 minutes. Get a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
I think you spent all day.
Yep.
Beth, I see, you know, when we're at the office, I see you always have some like really interesting colors and flavors in you know, the things that you have going on. Like there was a one where you had like I don't know if it was a pesto like spaghetti thing going on there, and like, can you just like explain?
So good.
Like, you have some really interesting things, and I just like I want to taste it, but I don't, you know, I don't want to.
And they smell so good too.
It looks too healthy, but it doesn't look too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did you get into like having? How did you? Because you said in the beginning you weren't very healthy. Like, how did you train your palate to want some of these more healthier dishes?
Yeah. So I like the word interesting. I don't know if that's like complimentary or maybe like, oh, what is she eating? But,
No, it's good. No, it's good. I'll try anything once.
I don't know. I think, yeah, it's definitely practice, like, but changing your palate is so hard, right? Because like the brain reacts to sugar like it's a drug. Like we love sugar. We're addicted to sugar. So it is hard. It's not easy to be healthy. It's not, but they say it takes 21 times to taste something until you like it. But for me, I see food and cooking as an outlet of being creative, and I feel most creative when I'm cooking. So it's like a piece of art, and that way there's no right or wrong. There's no yes or no. You just cook. If you like it, do it again. If you don't do it again. And then you learn how to, you know, refine your palate and be more open with different flavors, textures. Spices and seasonings are really exciting. Having your own garden gets you excited about it, because then you have fresh herbs that you can pick from. So I think there's a lot of ways to just get creative, and then you show up at work with weird things like me, but it's good. I like eating it.
They smell so good. They smell so good. You take from a lot of cultures too, Beth. You do a lot like with, I see you kind of going all over the world, which is nice. And you know, I love that. Like that, I think that's what I do when I go out to eat a lot, though, is I'm from all sorts of different cultures, because that's interesting, you know. And then there's some people that don't want to do the interesting thing, and they just want to eat healthy and, you know, have it taste good. And I think that people have to be respected for that too. Interesting is always, sometimes right now we want comfort, right? So that's maybe what's going on, you know. We're like here, and you know, the world's a little anxious. We don't know what's going on. Well, for me, like, man, I just want a great big thing of, you know, pasta with like lots of red sauce, lots of meatballs, or macaroni and cheese. I'm a child of the 70s. I made my own Kraft macaroni and cheese all the time. That brings back huge memories for me. So how do I make that healthier? Like, well, for the pasta, I'll add green vegetables. I'll add broccoli that I sauteed in. So it's kind of like, I don't take away the comfort. I try to add something to it. You know, so if you don't want to just have some fruit afterwards, you've added something healthy. If, you know, you have a salad before, you've added. So you have your comfort. You know, there's sometimes that you need to, or just the portion size. Like, so, you know, we might want to swim in a great big vat of pasta when you're bummed out, but if you shrink it down and you eat other things on the side that fill you up too, you can still satisfy that that comfort level that we all need right now. I firmly believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's great that you're talking about comfort and having, like, you know, making things healthy. Evetta, you said something really interesting. You said you start with a little bit of salt, like the bare minimum, and then you build a flavor. Can you build the flavors? Can you talk a little bit about building flavors?
So
What that
I
means?
am one who uses a lot of garlic, right? A lot of garlic, a lot of onion, cumin, depending on what it is that I'm cooking with. And you know, I'll use a sea salt. So pretty much in all the food that I have, it's just regular sea salt instead of iodized salt. If you really look at the difference between the iodized salt and the sea salt, there's really not much of a difference in them. But for me, it's like I said, it's easier for me to start with the bare base and build it to where I needed to build it to. Because if you go all in with all this salt and, you know, different ingredients and stuff like that, you can ruin a whole pot, right, of food. And for me, that's not cost effective for me. So to start at a, you know, bare minimum, I feel good when I'm cooking it and making it for other people because I know it doesn't contain a whole bunch of fat. You know, so, you know, spices, it depends on whatever I'm making. Oftentimes I'll blend cilantro, jalapenos, red peppers, green peppers. And that's my marinade for my meats. And I don't think a lot of people know that. So I just gave that away. But
Thank you.
a lot of my meats are marinated. So I don't have to add all the extra, you know, the sodiums and the salts and things like that because the meat, you know, when you're cooking it, those flavors are just coming out of it, and you can literally smell it, you know, when you're cooking them or when they're marinating. So that's what I do a lot of that in my food. And the one thing that I don't think a lot of people know about me is that I don't eat beef, and I don't eat a lot of pork. Like the only thing closest to pork, and I haven't been able to get rid of this, is pepperonis. Like I love pepperonis. Like that's my favorite thing. It is.
Yeah.
And I
You gotta have
pepperonis,
pepperoni
but
pizza.
I remember when I was trying to get away or get off of eating red meat, I would have a craving for the red meat because of course it was in my system. So to kill my cravings, I would eat whole wheat bread. Now I was young. I can't do that now because I'm pushing 40. So me and bread right now really don't get along. But you know, for those who are trying to, you know, do away with eating red meats and things like that, my craving killer for that was wheat bread. And I would just have a piece of it and I'd feel satisfied and I'd be done. So I haven't had red meat in over probably 20 years.
Well, I mean, some people are vegan. I know you guys have vegan recipes. We have only like 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna follow up with this. I want you guys to kind of send me some of your favorite recipes. But you guys kind of mentioned something. One of the biggest things about food is pairing it with a nice wine or the drinks that go with it. So can you know, somebody jump in and tell me, like, how do you find the right wines and how do you pair the right type of drinks with your
my
food?
God, that's a whole nother half hour. We can do that. Period. Yeah, no, I spent a lot of time with wine. I think one of the things is that first off, you can push yourself, you know, in the comfort zones. Wine also pairs with food. So if you taste something, like say that you have something very hot and you put a red wine with it, that red wine's going to taste horrible. Like if you have spice, you know, you might want to have a Riesling. So what I would suggest is finding a great retailer, all right? Somebody that you can talk to and start experimenting. You don't have to spend a lot of money on wine. You can spend $11.99 and less, and you can go through and you can, because just like food, you have to push yourself to develop those flavors. Some wines aren't going to taste very good to you at the first time. We didn't, it's kind of like nobody came out of the womb liking coffee. We all learned how to like coffee. Wine can be like that. It can be a little crazy, but wine is perfect for pairing with food. And this is a great time to learn about wine because you don't drive anywhere. You can sit down and you can have your wine and you can do, there's a lot of stuff online. So go online for wine pairing and make sure that, you know, when you're eating and drinking wine, if you want to really understand what the wine is, it's going to change if you pair it with certain foods. Find a good retailer. Definitely. Don't spend a ton of money. Push yourself.
Okay, so favorite food right now for each of you. Go.
Still peanut butter.
Peanut butter. I can get with that.
Simple rice and beans with like fresh guacamole and salsa, and comforting, vibrant. Love it.
Right now it's my Southwest black bean chicken salad with roasted red pepper hummus and tortilla chips on top. It's my favorite.
You made me very hungry, Evetta, man. I'm gonna eat right now.
Listen, I have a dinner special tomorrow if you're interested.
This was perfect for me because my wife is cooking right now. So when I'm done, I can just go eat because I knew I was going to be hungry after this.
Yeah.
So one last thing. Your favorite local restaurant to support right now. Of course, Evetta, we want to support Evelina's Kitchen. Can you talk about some specials that you might have going on, and then each of you just talk about a local restaurant that you've tried and that you've really liked.
So dinner specials that I have going on are weekly every Friday. So for example, tomorrow I have a barbecue jerk chicken special with peas and rice, Evelina's greens, which contains spinach and kale. I don't think people knew that either. They're just thinking they're greens. But there's other stuff in there, with yams and a slice of cornbread. Favorite restaurant? I would have to say I love Fally Island. So Fally Island has this Asian infused food that they have going on, and it's so good to me. Like I can eat there almost every day that they're open, but I would be 1,000 pounds. So,
Okay, where's that located?
That is on Allen, right next to Jim Steakout. So Allen and Elmwood, I want to say that is right there. But I don't know if I don't think they're open during the quarantine right now, though. I don't think they're open.
So Marla, what's your favorite restaurant?
I've got to do a shout out for Shango, guys. You've got to go to Shango. Awesome Cajun Creole. But another one that I do a lot is I love like Thai and Asian and Burmese food. So I've been going to Sun Cuisine on Niagara. It's also on Main Street up in Williamsville, but the Niagara Street location. So many interesting, cool things you can have, like black rice sushi, but you can also have a big noodle bowl, like wide, like Burmese wide noodles with like fish cakes. It's really flavorful, really fun. The people are wonderful. So those are my two.
Okay, and Beth, you're going to end it out. What's your favorite local restaurant right now?
So I have to go with West Side Bazaar on Grand Street. Very similar to Marla. My favorite, so West Side Bazaar, for those who aren't familiar, is all different vendors. So they have Thai, they have Burmese, Japanese, traditional Chinese, a lot of different. I'm not naming them all, but one of my favorites, I love them all, is the Ethiopian vendor. So for anyone that maybe hasn't tried that kind of food, you will not be disappointed. So I highly recommend, and they are doing curbside pickup right now.
And they're so reasonable. Oh my God, tons of food.
Yes.
Well, great. We can talk about food all night long. I'm sure everyone could, but we are a little over time. So thank you so much for spending your time talking about something that is so important. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of work together. So thank you for coming to iSix Success and sharing your knowledge. Tell people how they can get connected with you. I know I tagged you on Facebook, but do you have any other social media handles or anything like that? You want to give your email address before we go?
So I can be contacted either, through Facebook or Instagram, Evelina's Kitchen, or there's also my website too, which is Evelina's Kitchen as well. And my email address is evelinaskitchen1@gmail.com.
Okay. Beth, Marla, you want to share anything? Instagram, Facebook, email, any of that?
Email mguarino, Guarino @bnmc.org.
Yep, my email's the same way. Best way to get a hold of me. It's emachnica@bnmc.org.
Cool.
All right, ladies, thank you so much. And I will
Thank
be
you.
seeing you soon. We should probably all, like, if this quarantine goes a little too long, we should just probably have a huge, like, potluck or like a meeting where we're all eating together. Like, let's just
Yes,
have like a
that is so
a
fun.
dinner time
Yep,
together.
yep. And then we could just
I'm sure you'll
show.
put that together.
What we've cooked, what we've come up with.
Excellent,
Thank you.
excellent.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Kyrie, for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.